Welcome to the very first episode of Monthly Chapters, a reading group and a podcast by Books by the Beach. I'm Elena, and this month we're reading Interpreter of Maladies by Jhumpa Lahiri. Today, we begin with the book's first short story, A Temporary Matter, a quiet but heartbreaking tale of grief, silence, and disconnection between a married couple. We'll explore what happens, what it means, and what it shows us, not just about relationships, but about culture, guilt, and communication. Alright, so let's dive in. In A Temporary Matter, we meet Shobha and Shukumar, a young Indian American couple living in Boston, who have grown emotionally distant following the stillbirth of their child. For 5 nights, their neighborhood experiences planned power outages, just 1 hour a night. Shobha suggests that the couple takes time in playing a new game at the dinner table. So the couple begins to sit together in the darkness, sharing small secrets they've kept from each other. These quiet confessions build intimacy again, but for briefly, and they're leading to a much deeper truth along the way. The story builds gently, with each revelation drawing them closer until the final one completely breaks them apart. Okay, so what can we know of the characters or their cultures? Culturally, both characters are known to be second-generation Indian Americans. Shobha is a very organized, ambitious, focused, and detail-oriented person, perhaps influenced by traditional Indian expectations that women maintain the home and uphold appearances. Shukumar seems a little bit the opposite. He's a passive academic drifting through grief and guilt. It's known that his character reflects a quiet stereotype in Indian families, the dutiful but emotionally absent son. Meals, domestic roles, and silence all carry symbolic weight here. Cooking used to be a source of love, tradition, and connection in their relationship, but now it's replaced by complete isolation and separation. There's also a cultural reluctance to confront grief directly. Instead of being opened about their sadness and mourning together, the couple completely retreats into silence, mirroring how in many Indian households, emotions like pain, shame, guilt, and fear are acknowledged but never ever spoken aloud. The power outage is also very symbolic. When the lights go out, so do their emotional defenses. In other words, they feel more safe and okay to share their emotions and their thoughts when it's in the dark, which is an irony because number one, if you're married, you should be able to share your thoughts and emotions in any time of the day. Number two, even when it is dark, they actually completely ignore the fact that they still have yet to discuss about the death of their baby, which is the real truth that they should be talking about. Obviously, this openness in the dark doesn't save them. It only exposes how far they've drifted apart. I couldn't help but to be absolutely sad and torn as I was reading the last words. And then it had me question a couple of things. What were the real reasons and the motivation behind Shobha's planning of all this? Was it because of how Shukumar had dealt with this situation in silence? Or does she want to just run away from the painful past and no longer see Shukumar because anytime she sees him, he's going to be the trigger and the reminder of her pain? Or another assumption that we can make from a cultural point of view is that her being an Indian woman, she felt absolutely shameful and embarrassed and maybe even disgusted at the fact that she had lost her baby. Therefore, she maybe wants to release her husband first from this embarrassment because it can be a huge dishonor for Indian families, especially if they're traditional, to have such tragic incidents happen to a young married couple. There are many scenarios that we can come up with, but it just had me thinking, what if even after the divorce, she never finds her happiness or her freedom? Because she probably is holding on to all of that pain in her, and there was no room for her to release that tension. So how is she going to ever find true freedom and happiness? By the end, we learn that Shobha was planning on leaving all this time, and her nightly confessions were never intended on bringing the couple together. It was actually for her to say a farewell. And to make it even more tragic, Shukumar takes this opportunity to say the one thing he has never shared with her, that he held their son in the hospital and knows what the baby look like. An opportunity that could have really shared their marriage turns into a devastating vulnerability that leads to complete disconnect. It's just too late for their marriage to be ever saved. So with that question in mind, there's also two other questions / journaling prompts that I'd love to share with you. First question is, have you ever been in a situation where it was very important that you speak your mind or you share what's in your heart, but you didn't? You ended up leaving the relationship or the relationship ended up falling apart. Has that ever happened to you? Why did that happen? How did that happen? And how did you react to it afterwards? Or if there's anything that you could do if you went back in time, what would you do instead? If you were Shobha or Shukumar, how would you have spent the 5 days in the dark? Would you have taken this opportunity to discuss what has happened? Or how would you take advantage of this time? And that's it for our first episode for monthly chapters. Throughout the month of July, I will be sharing more of these podcasts on the stories that we covered together. I will have the audio up on our YouTube channel here and then share with you the link once I have it up. Keep reading, have fun journaling, and also share your thoughts on our group chat if you want. Be the confident, bold person to start the conversation on our group chat if you have anything interesting that you'd love to cover with the group. Let's build a space where stories help us to understand not just the world, but also about ourselves through great conversations, topics, and questions.